All right, Tim. Thank you so much for joining me once again. Today's chat's going to be really, really fun because it's about Toto and their second album, Hydra. I think this album is pretty much, well, it's very overlooked because their first album was really successful. I think it went double platinum in the US. And I think, what was it in Canada? I'm not too sure about the first album, but
It
it
went
was
it
successful.
went. I think it's about the same. I think it went double
Yeah.
platinum up here as well. It was just a big album overall.
Yeah, and it had Hold the Line on it, one of
Yeah,
their biggest songs. But this album was kind of a failure if you compare it to what came before. Because even though it did pretty well, not as good as the first one, this album went gold in the US, so that's 500,000 copies. And in Canada, it went platinum, single platinum. So, yeah, only 100,000 copies in Canada, too. So, yeah, it didn't do as well. So there's a huge difference between going double platinum in the US, 2 million copies,
yeah,
to 500,000 for the second. So you kind of saw the same thing after the momentum of the Toto 4 when Isolation released. That
yeah.
was also a failure in a way because Toto 4 they won like 6 Grammys and it was super successful, had some of their biggest songs on it. So yeah, so Isolation, but this album was also the same as Isolation in that way, that it was overshadowed by the album that came just prior.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this, I think this was released in, was it October
I
in
believe
some
so.
time?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was that's that's the conventional wisdom. Like it was definitely in the fall, and
Yeah.
and really in both of those cases, it's the simplest. It's simply that's what a top five single will do for top 10, top five singles will drive that album sales up way beyond.
Yeah.
And both this album and Isolation had like top 30 hits. They didn't have
Correct.
one, and there's no for the mainstream, there's no songs that would be like if you asked your average radio listener, say, name me five Toto songs, they would not be likely to name anything off of certainly not off of Hydra or Isolation, which it's a shame because I mean it's a really really cool album. I mean, you can see that the record label obviously spent some money on them. They gave them a gatefold cover that the sort of a continuing story, and I always thought it was interesting, these sort of Renaissance era photos of each of the band members, like
Yeah.
and I used to think I used to think that was Steve Lukather on the cover, but it's obviously not. It's just the big head of hair.
Yeah. And I think it's the same guy from the videos.
I think
So
so.
they did 4 videos for this album.
Yeah.
So they did the title track, Hydra, St. George and the Dragon. They did the video for 99, and also All Us
All Us
Boys.
Boys. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
We
a
we will get to that video and that song, but yeah, so they did 4 videos for this, surprisingly, and I was really surprised that they actually did a video for the title track because that's a long song. I
yeah.
think it's about like 7.5 minutes, and the actual video is 6.5 minutes, so it's very long. So I wonder who would play that because that's pretty long.
And it's pre-MTV, so I'm fascinated by that because there's lots of bands that have done that, and it's like, who are they making these videos for? The same year, Kansas did the same thing with their Monolith album. There are fully four songs, half of the album, and the same thing here. There's an 8-song album, have videos, not just performance videos, like fully formed. I guess you could call them concept videos with actors and sets. And I know that there were like, if there would be like half-hour music variety shows that would, play one video per show, but how, how would you know the videos were out there? It's just fascinating to me, these pre-MTV concept videos. And yeah, Toto did half of of the of the Hydra album in video form. So and sometimes with no regard to whether the song was a single or not. It's just, we want to do a video for this song. I'd like to know more about that thought process because there's plenty of examples where bands shot videos for songs that weren't singles, and then songs that were singles didn't get videos.
Yeah. And since we're talking about the videos, we can get straight into that. I think the first song and the video for it, I think the video is pretty cool. They're
It
like
really
down in
is.
the sewers.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be that anyways. And you have rats crawling around, and you have this guy on the front cover with his sword and everything, and he's gonna slay the beast, and it's all and save the girl. It's so stereotypical, but I like it. It's fun and it's cool. So
it is.
yeah.
And the band members are all in. Like they're just lip syncing to, you know, they're really into it. And what a cool song. I think that the success of the first album gave them some confidence to try other things. Like I've often heard people say that this is the closest that Toto ever came to doing a prog album, and it's not really.
No.
This song is probably the closest thing because it is an epic, it's long, and it's outside of your typical lyrical realm that most Toto songs are in. It's not in the real world, so to speak. So, yeah. But what a cool song. I love that intro. I just love everything about the song, but it builds. It doesn't, for a 7-minute song, to me, it doesn't drag. It feels like a complete song, and you just want to hear all of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that beginning, as you mentioned. Those like keyboards in the beginning, very ominous, and then you have that sound effect. I don't know what to call it, but it's reverb and echoed.
Yeah.
I like that. That's cool. Maybe it's a piano note, maybe echoed. I don't know. I'm not too sure, but
yeah. I mean, it would have been whatever they could use at the time. So, I mean, I know these guys were always on the cutting edge of whatever was happening technology wise, but yeah, it does set a mood, very much. But once it settles into the groove, like da da, now it's okay. Now it sounds like Toto.
Yeah.
But what a cool, I mean, David Page's vocal is cool on it, but love the guitar riff when it stops up. And I love, David Page, hey, like,
yeah.
And I've seen them do this live. So it's when they're all clapping their hands. Anybody that's, not tied to an instrument, but it works. It fits the song. I mean, yeah, they really went all in too. And even with the lyrics are all handwritten, which I have to say is not the easiest thing to read. I think maybe do the titles, but don't have all the lyrics written out. But I mean, yeah, money was spent on the production of this album. It's just that it didn't, unfortunately, did. But I mean, it's fun to have the footage now to enjoy. I just think this is just a really cool song that you've got to have the album to have heard this. You've never heard this on the radio, but it's just really cool that they've got a song like this in their catalog that kind of is outside of the regular what you'd expect to hear from Toto.
Yeah. As you mentioned before, people like label this as a prog album or Toto's prog album. I don't really agree with that. I think most people say it just because of the length of the song or the lyrics for this song and St. George and the Dragon.
Yeah, it's very fantastic. Yeah, the first two songs are very sort of fantastical lyric wise. I mean, and there's chops. I mean, obviously the Toto guys are, just ace musicians, but and there are examples of some tricky parts like throughout
the song. So it's kind of progressive in some ways. So I understand why people say it, but I wouldn't label this as a prog song or
no, it's prog adjacent. If anything, it's definitely not a 3-chord rock song. But then most Toto songs aren't. So, but what a cool way to open and what a cool way. I mean, really, when you think about it, the first album started off with Child's Anthem, which is sort of a prog adjacent instrumental. Well, this is just a full lyrical song. It's just like stretched, right? Like it doesn't sound that weird when you think of how the first album starts. It's just that the rest of that album is nothing like that.
Yeah. And I like how much David Page we get on this album. I
Yeah.
really enjoy his voice. I think he has a great voice.
Yeah.
Now, if you compare his voice to like Bobby Kimball or Steve Lukather, they're all different singers, and I
Very.
like the different
Yeah. I
flavors.
like, yeah, they none of them are in it just worked out really cool. Like none of them are in the same vocal range, so there's no
Yeah.
competing with each other. They naturally harmonize well because they don't have to think about what part are you doing, what part are you doing. And eventually there came a time where David Page just stopped singing lead vocals, and I
Yeah.
always really liked his lead vocal. I've always said that he has sort of a powdery vocal approach. It's not raspy. It's not like a jagged, like a Rod Stewart type of voice, but there's a little bit of friction there on the vocal cords. And um, I've always thought that he could have been a singer for Alan Parsons Project, because most of those songs, they've had a variety of singers, but they all kind of had that same, like I could hear David Page singing something like Eye in the Sky, no problem.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
definitely.
but yeah, he's a perfectly fine lead singer in his own right. Not to mention the fact that he writes, the majority of the songs himself. I mean, like just unusually talented, right?
Yeah.
And I think that his vocal approach fits this song, and I think they were always really good at deciding which songs for which vocalists. Now, I know Steve Lukather has said if he wrote a song, or like Bobby wrote a song, or Joseph Williams in later years, they would usually sing their own song, or Steve Porcaro. But with David Page, he was always, let's hear you do it. Let's hear what it sounds like when you do it. So he wasn't, but then in this case, I think he made the right decision with him just singing it.
Yeah. And we don't only get a lot of David Page in the vocals, but we also get a lot of piano on
Yeah.
this album, which
Yeah.
I really enjoy. I've always liked that Toto has a lot of piano and keyboards in their sound. They stick out that way. And yeah, I think it separates them from many other pop or rock acts. So I really do like that. And on this album, we get a lot of piano, which I really like. And even sometimes where you expect there to be like some rhythm guitars or a guitar riff, there's actually piano instead, which
Yeah.
I think is really, really cool. I love that.
That's the advantage of having, two dedicated keyboard players instead of just having one, where it's like, okay, you can do whatever you like on the album, but live you're going to have to choose, well, what do we leave out? But in this case, where you've got, like, David Page tends to handle like the piano, and maybe if there are like organs, like Hammond organ or anything like that on songs, and then you have Steve Porcaro, who's like the synthesizer wizard, who will cover everything else.
Yeah.
They're just such such master musicians that it's like anybody could do anything at any given time. I mean, Luke, just skipping ahead, Luke wrote I Won't Hold You Back on piano, and he's a guitar player. So just insanely talented. But yeah, what a great start to an album. And as somebody that discovered the band in the early 90s, as far as listening to the full albums, I loved hearing this, because like I didn't know they had songs like this. It was a really cool thing to discover. Like, wow, there's just more to this song than love songs.
Yeah.
Way more.
And it's so different to what they did before and after. Like, it's really unique. And that's something I really do like about this song and this album in general.
Yeah.
It's very different.
Yeah.
So
And yet it's recognizable. You can hear that it's Toto. It's not like an identity crisis. It's just they're writing in different styles.
Yeah. So I like that this album kind of sticks out in their catalog. I think that's cool. So when you get a good mix of different songs, you get some more love songs and ballads, you get a song like this, and you get some more upbeat and fun and rocking songs. So I think that's really cool. A good mix of different types of songs. So yeah, I think Hydra, I think it's one of my favorite songs in the Toto catalog. I really, really like it. I think it's so cool. So yeah, Hydra, an awesome opening track, but kind of unexpected and kind of different. If at the time, if you bought the first album, listened to that and really enjoyed that, we're looking forward to the new album, and the first thing you hear or maybe don't hear because you play too low. You probably won't even hear the beginning of the song.
Yeah, you'd be like, is
Just
there
hear
something
that.
wong with my stereo? And you turn it
Yeah,
up, oh
you
yeah, there's
turn it
something.
up.
It's just a very long intro. Yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of fades in and it's very outdrawn. So yeah, so it's kind of different to how the first album began. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that was probably unexpected for most people, and maybe it rubbed some people the wrong way because it was very different for the opening track. So maybe putting this song later into the album would have worked better. I don't know, but I'm used to it being this way, and I like it being the opening track. So I don't have a problem with it, but I could understand longtime fans or fans that heard it at the time that were fans of the first album would have been kind of surprised to hear this. So
I'm
yeah,
sure the record label wasn't thrilled either listening to this album, like playback, and thinking, where's Hold the Line? Where's the hit? Where's the surefire hit? There really isn't one on here, but it's still a great album.
yeah, absolutely. All right, the second track, Saint George and the Dragon. There you have the single. That's cool.
Yeah.
Are the singles for this album rare? Are they hard to get?
I don't, not particularly. No, this is actually, says printed in Holland. And the B side of this is A Secret Love, which we'll get to later. But I've got a lot of Toto singles, but no, this is just, but there aren't a lot from this album. I think there's only 3. There's one I can't find yet, but St. George and the Dragon. Yeah. So you're thinking, okay, this is going to pick right up where the first song left off. And lyrically it does.
Yeah.
Not musically.
Nope. Yeah. Yeah, it's upbeat, it's more fun, it's a more happy sounding song. Yeah, even though I think Hydra has some really good parts that are upbeat and you get into the later parts of the song, yeah, obviously. But I think this is kind of different to that in tone. And yeah, the lyrics on both Hydra and especially this song are just very strange.
It's almost like
being a dragon.
It's almost like there's no, go ahead.
Yeah. Because sometimes when you read the lyrics, you think, is it literally a dragon or are we talking about a person? Who are we talking about here?
Yeah.
So it's kind of strange, but yeah, Toto going this like fantasy and science fiction, like it's very, very different. So I can understand why some people don't like the lyrics, but I'm not the person that really cares too much about lyrics. I can appreciate deep and nice lyrics and that someone has put thought into them. But for this, I don't really care. I just think it's a good song, a good upbeat fun song.
Yeah, this song musically is quintessential Toto. I mean, it totally sounds like Toto. You've got a Bobby Kimball lyric. He sings it great. It's just lyrically, I don't even know if they retitled the song, because radio stations were not going to play a song called St. George and the Dragon. It just doesn't sound like a commercial hit. Like, when you're listening to the first line, it's like, can you tell me where I might find the Hydra? Does he still live 7th Avenue in the slums of Satan's Grace? I mean, these are not pop lyrics, but musically it's right there. It's super catchy. It's got that like, it sounds very much like a song you'd hear on the radio in 1979. And it's super catchy. The chorus is catchy. It's got a great guitar solo, great melody. Like,
love it.
It's fantastic, and I love the dramatic like, it's a fantastic song. It's just, here's 2 songs in a row that almost sound like 2 versions of the same story. You know what I mean? Like, just another take on it. And I don't know if I don't think it's literal, but because I know sometimes chasing the dragon is something people refer to when someone has a drug addiction, the dragon or the monkey on the back, so I don't know. I don't care. I'm just into it. And it's just such a cool song. And I love Bobby's ad libs at the end, like, I can tell by the look in your eye. Like,
Yeah, when it goes in double time at the end.
Yeah, where
cool.
it's great. It's fantastic. It's just not, I'm sure it's not what people were expecting. It's probably why, in my experience as somebody that searches a lot for used records, I see Hydra a fair bit. Even more than the first album, even more than 4. So people bought it and then didn't keep it, which is a shame because it's a great record.
Yeah, and I see the same thing. Like in record stores here in Sweden, Hydra is one of the more common ones you see on vinyl.
And it stands out. There's no question the artwork stands out.
Yeah,
from afar.
I love this cover. I think it's cool. It's mysterious. It's different, even though it incorporates the sword from the first cover.
I mean, that could be a Dio cover if you think about it.
Yeah. Imagine this with Dio's get up and his clothes and everything from like the Holy Diver video.
Holy Diver,
yeah. Cool, awesome. So yeah, St. George and the Dragon. You mentioned all the points I wanted to talk about: the guitar solo, the double time at the end, Bobby Kimball's ad libs, just everything about it, just really good. So I think we're starting off really, really strong here on the album. And going into the third track, which is probably the most famous one on the album. And this was also, you see there, the single. Yeah. And this was the most successful single on the album. So this reached number 26 in the US, I think. And in Canada, I think it was 17, actually.
Yeah, it was top 20 in Canada, which is probably why the album went platinum up here. I didn't know that until doing some research, but I didn't know it did better up here. It's definitely the best known. If people know one song from Hydra, it's 99.
Yeah, and this song is featured on many compilations. Mm-hmm. And this is also a song that Steve Lukather has said that he doesn't like.
I've heard him say that,
Yeah. So, and that's probably the reason why they don't play it live very often.
Yeah.
So, but I really, really like this song.
Yeah.
I like that it's a tempo change from the previous two. Again, Steve Lukather, he sings this one, the first one on the album for him.
Yeah.
And I really like Steve's voice. I think he got better throughout the years.
He did, yeah. He improved as a vocal. I mean, he was young. He was still at this point, he was 21, 22. Yeah. So, he had, he was already there as a guitar player, but as a vocalist, he got really good. Like this in 1979, if you just said to Steve, by the way, eventually there's going to come a day where you're going to sing all the tracks on a Toto album. He's like, yeah, right. He wasn't ready, but once in a while. Yeah. And I think he sounds great on this.
Yeah. Really good. Very gentle and very nice vocal approach to this. And I love the keyboard or the synth solo in this by Steve Porcaro. It's just really nice and it fits the mood of the song. And it's just a really nice solo and it's kind of unexpected. But also for this song to have a really rocking guitar solo wouldn't have worked. So I think a more nice melodic guitar solo would have worked and more gentle. But I think the keyboard solo really does work and is actually better than a guitar solo would have been. So I really like it. Awesome song. Now, this is not a criticism. This is just something that I felt the first time I heard it. When is this going to end? I thought many times that the song was going to fade out and end. And there's multiple times at the end where you think, okay,
a lot of false endings.
Yeah, and I think for most songs, many of the spots are logical to end on.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure radio probably faded them out. Yeah. Actually, I'm going to open the single up. I'm going to look. I don't know if the version on here is edited or not, because I think it's like 5.5 minutes on the record.
Yeah.
This is 3:28. So they definitely edited it for radio.
Yeah, and I think there's a single version on that on some compilations. I don't know if it's the single version on Past to Present. I don't remember. But
I don't think it is, but it might be on the maybe. I haven't listened to that one in a while. But it might be on the Essential Toto because I know there's a lot of edits on there to get so many songs on it.
Yeah. Because Past to Present was a single record
Yeah.
if you had the vinyl.
Mhm.
So, and that's a long album for a record. I
It's like
think it's over an
13.
hour or something
Yes, I
like that.
think there's 13 songs on it. Yeah.
So maybe I don't remember, but maybe there's a single edit of this one on that. But I've heard it somewhere at least, and
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, they just completely cut that last part out. So or
Yeah,
faded
it's
out.
not like they chop something out from the middle of the song, but it does
Yeah,
have that extended outro. I love it because to
me
me
too.
it just fits the sort of laid back mood. This song has such a mood to it. This song has
Yeah,
always made me think of like a rainy afternoon. I don't know why. It's just got that cloudy overcast, and not in a bad way. It's just very sort of downbeat but melodic. Now, I can understand how this is not a song or a single that bursts out of the airwaves. This
yeah.
is not Rosanna or Hold the Line or Africa. This doesn't demand your attention.
Need
Yeah, this is a song that would have worked better as a second or third single, but the problem is it's still probably the most overtly commercial song on Hydra, and yet here we have another strange choice lyrically because 99 refers to a person and it's a love song, but instead of using a woman's name, it's 99. Now, if you do the research, which
Yeah,
radio listeners, they're not going to do the research. And by the way, in 1979, how would you? Unless you were a science fiction buff, but an early George Lucas film, THX 1138,
yep,
takes place in a society where no one has names, they're just numbers.
yep.
That's what this song is about. But most people were probably like, huh? Like what am I hearing? But it's a
Yeah,
great, it's a great song. It's extremely well done. And the subtleties, you know, the drums are just right, but just what they need to be. The vocals are not over the top. And yeah, I love that sort of outro where it just felt good to just do it again. And it just keeps getting quieter and quieter and quieter. Great piano playing by David Page. The video is quite interesting because, I mean, because Luke sings this song, they've got Bobby Kimball behind a keyboard too, because he had to do something, but it's this all white set. They're all dressed in white. Again, that's very science fiction like,
yeah,
especially for the time. But yeah, I love the song. I can see why, like, where that was the first single and it did okay, but it wasn't a top 5 and it didn't drive sales of this album up to that level.
yeah.
But I think as the years have gone by, it's become one of my favorite, you know, Toto songs. It's got such a unique mood to it. I can't think of another song where they capture this kind of mood.
Yeah. And this was one of the first songs that you heard from Toto, right?
This was the very first song I heard from Toto, no question. I heard it on a mixed album, one of those various artists albums. And actually, the funny thing is that, okay, this is interesting. The B side of 99, this is actually a Spanish single.
Okay.
Looks very similar to the other one I showed you, but this one's from Spain. The B side is the title song, and the title song on here is 504. So they even edited the B side. I wonder well, it might not have been like this on all countries' versions of it, but I wonder if the idea wasn't maybe some of the AOR stations, the rock stations, will flip it over and play Hydra. Let's give them a more of a radio length to the song.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah.
So here we're 3 songs in, and if you're just reading the lyrics, if critics just read the lyrics before they heard the album, that's no wonder they would refer to it as prog.
Yeah. Yeah. And just at the face of it, 99 is not a science fiction or anything like that, a lyric. But if you look deeper into it and you research it, it is based on a science fiction movie.
Yeah.
But the lyrics are a love lyric. So, yeah. So it's interesting that they went for this fantasy, science fiction kind of lyrics and theme for these first 3 songs. So
yeah,
it's kind of interesting.
It's an interesting decision. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, the next one, Lorraine. I do really like this one actually.
Yeah.
I think this is a really good deep cut.
This is the standard woman's name song on a Toto album.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know. I do know that, like, David. It's interesting because David Page, his wife, is named Lorraine. Now, I don't know if they were married. I didn't do the research on that, but his sister is also named Lorraine. So I'm not sure who this song is about.
Yeah. Or maybe he just took the name and sang about someone
You know
else.
what? And that's how Rosanna came to be. Everybody thinks that song is about Rosanna Arquette. It's not. She was in the room. He needed a name with 3 syllables. That's all.
Yeah.
He's like, that's it. You know, have everything but the title or the name. Now, this is another one that starts very quietly.
Yeah, it starts with the piano in the beginning, and you have David Page like really quiet vocal delivery, and I like it. I think it's good because when it kicks in, it really has a punch to it. So yeah, I like the chorus to this song. I think it's catchy. I love the melody with the keyboards. I love that.
Yeah.
That carries on throughout the song, and that also ends the song, which I like.
And that end part, I think, is in 7/4 because it's like like it's not 4/4. So again, it's them showing their chops. There's only one thing I don't like about this song, and you could, it's Bobby Kimball's ad-libbing at the end. That yeah. I'm like, what is he doing? Why? What is he even saying? It just sounds like it sounds like they're recording and he didn't know the mic was on and he was just like, I don't get it. It's a strange, because after a while it's like, maybe this will make sense to me after a few listens, but I don't like. I get that it was probably intended to be like a call and response vocal, but what's he responding to? I don't get it.
I've always liked that, and I think that's cool that we have different opinions on this.
I just don't understand it. I guess I don't understand it. It seems like, it doesn't seem like something. It sounds like if they were released like a deluxe version of this, and this was an early take where they're just fooling around in the studio. It doesn't sound like a finished product to me, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think Bobby Kimball is a really good ad-libber. I just like this. I like this. I think it adds something to the song. It adds a different flavor at the end. So yeah, I do really like it. I think that's cool. So I've never had a problem with it. I've never really thought about it being bad or it doesn't fit. Or I always liked it. So I think it's cool. But yeah, as we said, ending the song with this repetitive thing, and also David Page singing at the end, it almost sounds like he's shouting out the lyrics at the end.
Yeah,
it doesn't sound like he's singing at the very end. So yeah, I just think it's really cool, really nice song. So a good closer for side one, I think.
Yeah,
awesome. All right, now we get to a song which is a real head scratcher. All Us Boys, and the title, the lyrics, the video, it just doesn't help it. I think it makes it worse, and especially the video. It's just so silly. And David Page being this bad boy and everything.
I don't buy it. I don't buy it from this band. This song would work for a harder rock band, maybe, but coming from Toto, I mean, they were all rich kids. I think. I mean, pretty much like all of them, the principal players in Toto. I mean, David Page's dad, Marty Page, was a well-respected arranger. Steve Lukather's father worked in television and film. And the Piccaro's father, Joe Piccaro, was already a famous percussionist. So they weren't from the streets, they lived on a street, but not the street. So for them to be, squealing tires and burning rubber, look, I'm sure they were bad boys on the road and, with, women and substances and all of that, just like any rock band. But image wise, I don't buy this song coming from, I'd even buy, like, when Foreigner does a song like Dirty White Boy, I buy it with Lou Gramm sings that. I do not buy this from David Page, trying to be tough. It just doesn't, musically, it's a fun rock song. I kind of like it. And it's really, other than you could say that Hydra has cool rock parts, this is like one of the only rock songs in this album, but lyrically, it's just silly. And this is like my impression of Bobby's ad libs at the end of Lorraine, but this is the whole song. And By the way, this is the 145 that's out there. I think it's only released in Mexico. I cannot find. It's really hard to find. But
Yeah.
and it also looks like they just used the same set as 99. They just cleared away all the background set, and they're just on a white set. But yeah, I don't not like it. It just doesn't fit Toto. And I don't know that they're not the type of band to do things like this. They're certainly capable of it. And maybe with a different lyrical approach, they could have sold this song. Like with a different approach, this could have fit on Turnback, which we've talked about, which was more of a rock album. But as it stands on here, it's kind of a curiosity. I get it as a side opener. It's upbeat. And again, great piano. Dun, 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 da, 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 da. Like musically, it's fantastic. I just lyrically, it takes me out of the song because they're not selling it to me.
Yeah, I have to say, this is my least favorite on the album. I just, the vocals, the lyrics, and the video pops up in my head every time I listen to it. I just can't separate those, and I just have a hard time enjoying the song because of that. So
yeah. And I'm sure they look back that video, they're all mugging for the camera, and they probably cringe themselves watching the video. And I don't know. I don't think I've never seen like a contemporary live version of this song. I don't think this is one that they pull out in concert. Maybe they have, but not even as, they do lots of medleys, right? Where they combine stuff. And I'm sure that there's diehard Toto fans, if they were to bust into this, it'd be like, holy crap, they're doing All Us Boys. But yeah.
Yeah, when I saw Toto live, they definitely did not do this song. I don't remember.
And I don't think too many people left the concert thinking, it was pretty good, but they didn't do All Us Boys.
Yeah. I think they did White Sister.
They have. They have done.
I don't remember, but yeah.
So I know that's on a few of their live albums.
Yeah. I don't think they did any other songs from the album. I think they only did White Sister, if they did. I can't really remember. But yeah. So All Us Boys, don't really like this one. The rest of the album, I think, is pretty cohesive. Even though there's some different flavors, different type of songs, different tempos, I do think this one just really sticks out.
This feels like there should be another song in the album, and All Us Boys should be a B-side. And then you'd go, as a B-side, you'd go, oh, okay, they're just having a little fun, letting off some steam in the studio. But in the days of vinyl, which I guess are back, the first song on a side, you're making a statement.
Yep.
Well,
they definitely did make a statement with this one, but
All Us Boys like to fight and kick, carry a stick. The lyrics are just weak. They're just weak.
Yeah.
The best thing I could say about them is that they rhyme.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The next one, Mama. I've always liked this one. This is one of my favorites. I really, really like it. This also starts out pretty slow.
Yeah. Love that.
Dude, I love that.
That's the typical Toto halftime shuffle, right? Like
I love it.
It's so good. It's not that different than Rosanna because it's not that. It's not quite like that, but it's in that. And this, to me, a song like this is Bobby Kimball's sweet spot. Like he excels at songs like this. He
does a really great vocal on this. It's really, really good.
Yeah. Like I love "Waiting for Your Love" from Toto 4. And this is the same type of song. Like this is where he shines the brightest, I think.
Yeah, but I think "Waiting for Your Love" is a bit more upbeat and
it's very more upbeat. But in that R&B, like he really sounds most natural on those types of songs. Yeah. I love the end of it. It was like, "Mama." Like he's really giving it all he's got, and the harmonies, like yeah, like and then the "Take My Hand" part, it's so good. They got me back now. I'm back in the album.
Yeah, absolutely.
After the misstep of All Us Boys, now we're back.
Yes, I think like when Hydra really kicks in, that groove is just so nice. But I think this is like the second best when it comes to the groove of the song. I just really, really like it.
Yeah. You just
Uh,
want to just
yeah,
not,
awesome song. Really like it. So yeah, Mama is one of the highlights for me on the album. Now the next one, White Sister. This, when you read the title, you don't think this is going to be a really rocking
you're
song.
like, it's an interesting title, right? Like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I love this song. I think
Yeah,
this
but
is fantastic.
it starts out quite and slow with
Mhm.
the piano. Many of the songs on this album start out that way, and I really do like that. And then it really kicks in with the riff and all that, and just so good. And I think the guitar solo, the two guitar solos, because it's broken up, so I think it's one of the highlights. It's
Yeah.
just so good and so hard rocking. I
Yeah.
think these two solos put together are probably one of the heaviest things that Toto did, or the most hard rocking anyway.
And it's early on in their career, right? Like they would,
Yeah,
you know, I've
these
heard,
solos, like really stick out on like in a hard rock or metal concert, doing this guitar solo in one of their songs. Like it's just so nice, hard rocking, good stuff. It's really different because I think Steve Lukather, obviously session musician, has done a lot of albums and songs.
Yeah.
But I think putting him into like the yacht rock and putting that label on his music and Toto, and only say, yeah, it's like poppy rock and they can't rock and everything. I totally disagree, because I think Toto can really rock hard.
They do, and they can
It's
do
one of the
so
examples.
many different styles, right? Yeah, they have songs I totally consider yacht rock. Like
Yeah.
99, I consider a yacht rock.
Absolutely,
Classic.
they have a lot of
But Hold
different.
the Line is not yacht rock. It's too heavy. Like I
Hold the
always,
Line is a rock song.
it's a heavy rock song, and
Yeah.
I always, the joke that I make with my wife is like, it's something. Hold the Line's got too much of a pulse to be a yacht rock. Yacht rock's got to be laid back.
Yep.
Like Mama wouldn't sound out of place if you're on Sirius XM or whatever. If you're listening on Spotify and you want a yacht rock playlist, Mama would fit a yacht rock playlist, and a lot of their songs would, but not all of them. White Sister, the only drawback, and I've heard Rick Beato has talked to Steve Lukather several times, and I think I might have frozen. Oh, I froze for a sec. I've seen Rick Beato interview Steve Lukather a few times, and he talks about how the problem is that the solos they're too buried in the mix, and you can't really hear what he's doing. And he mentions White Sister. He's like, I want to hear what you're playing on there. And Luke said, I fought for years to get. Come on, man, turn my solo up. But yeah, and
because I think it's pretty well in the mix. I think it's pretty nicely placed.
I think what it is, it sounds good, but I think what Rick was referring to is if you're actually trying to learn all of the licks, you can't quite make out the end parts, because there'll be like a keyboard swell or a vocal that kind of overtakes it. I mean, I can't imagine trying to mix an album. It's got to be really hard, because you've got to be so conscious of every part of the song and which parts you want to stand out at any given time. But I mean, in recent years, hearing Joseph Williams sing this song is really cool. And to me, it just, like, as you know, we've talked about, I love Isolation. That's my favorite Toto album.
Really good one.
First did not sound like a Toto singer. Joseph, and I'm really confused, like, why they just didn't get Joseph. I think if they'd have gotten Joseph right after Bobby left, they may have been able to maintain, because he was in that range. He was in that Bobby Kimball range. And you hear it not only when you hear Joseph sing the older songs that Bobby sang, but then when Bobby came back and you get him singing some of Joseph's songs for a period, it just works. But White Sister, it's one of their best. It's one of their one of their best rockers. And of all the compilations that Sony has put out over the years, I'm surprised there hasn't been an official Toto rock songs compilation, because I think it would show people a different side. And Jeff McCarl, let's talk about him at the end of that. Like, that the way that it
Yeah.
fades out with those crazy fills, it's just a fantastic song. And I think I love it when it stops and Bobby's like, such a card game. Like, great,
Yeah.
great song. And I think the band, I think it's a favorite of theirs too, because this is a song that rears its head a few times in, you know, the last, say, 20, 30 years in concert, is one that they would do, or at least as part of a medley. Now, I'm not crazy about the medleys. I got to be honest. I'd rather hear whole songs, but I understand they're trying to get as many different, you know, songs in. But yeah, one of the highlights of the album. Definitely my favorite song on side 2.
Yeah. And actually, on Live Fields, which I think is a great live album, you actually get one of those medleys, and you get one song from this album. So you get Out of Love from Past to Present, Mama, which we talked about, You Are the Flower, and The Road Goes On. So that's the medley.
And I do like that their medleys are all over the catalog. Like they're not just, here's 3 from Hydra. And Out of Love is a good choice, because that was probably Out of Love's probably the best of those 4 songs on Past to Present, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Because I'm not crazy about those at all.
Probably. Yeah, that's a really good song. But I think the version of White Sister on this, which ends the CD, is incredible. Like, Bobby in the very beginning holds this note like forever. And it's really raspy and really, it's incredible. He just holds this note at the very beginning. It's so cool.
Yeah, when he first came back, he was in good shape.
Yeah, I think he sounds really good on Minefields, for example. So, and on this, it sounds really good. So this is an awesome live album for those who have not heard it. And I think it was in 99.
It came out the same year Minefields. Like, it's confusing because the album titles sound the same and the album covers look the same with the guy with the binoculars. But yes, they're two different things.
Yeah. So this is a really good live album to check out. So this is awesome. So the version of White Sister on this is amazing. So so I think that's probably one of the best songs on the album, Hydra. I think Hydra, the title song, 99, and White Sister are probably my 3 favorites. I probably throw in Mama too, which
same thing. Really that would be those would be my choice. Those are probably the top 4.
Yeah. So really, really good song. And I almost wish that this ended the album. But
I definitely wish it ended the album.
Yeah. But then we get A Secret Love, which, even though I said I wish that White Sister ended the album, I still think this is okay. This is not one of the better songs on the album, but I think All Us Boys is definitely the worst for me, at least. I think this is the second worst song. So it's all right. It starts out with the synthesizers in the beginning. Wing, 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 wing. I like that. I think it's cool. But then it changes and it comes into another section with the piano. Bobby's vocal delivery on this is kind of different. He's in his lower register on the song. And I do like that it sounds different. At first, it doesn't really sound like Bobby. But then when it goes higher, you're like, oh, yeah, this is Bobby Kimball. But also, the song ends prematurely, I feel. It just kind of ends. So the keyboards and the synthesizer just kind of fades out and then it's done. I wish it was just a tad longer. But for some people that don't like the song, they're pretty happy with it being this length. But I think it's a strange way to end the album on this very low point.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's all right. I don't dislike it as much as some people do. So
it's my least favorite on the album. I mean, All Us Boys I at least like musically. To me, this is just kind of boring. It's just a little bit too mellow. Now, Toto do some great mellow songs. Now, I used to think, without really listening too hard, because I wasn't that interested in the song, but because this is like one of the only Steve Porcaro co-writes on here, I always just assumed he sang this, because he would typically get one vocal.
Yeah.
Or sometimes he'd get a vocal. To me, this just isn't one of the stronger ones. But it's definitely Bobby. But it's almost, you're waiting for something else to happen. Either it just gets a little bit more, and I understand that they didn't want to repeat themselves, because I love the song Angela that ends
Oh,
the first album, because that is like an epic ballad and it kicks in, but it starts out pretty mellow.
yep.
But and if they'd have done the same thing with this song, like, well, they're just they didn't want to do the same thing again. I think it's a weak closer. And I think because of that, the album fizzles out. And I would have much rather had it fade out with those ending drum fills on White Sister. But it's not bad in and of itself, but it's just kind of it. I guess the best way I can describe it is just a little bit too mellow. But then again, if it had been a better song, I wouldn't have minded how mellow it is, because Turn Back ends with If It's the Last Night, and I think that's a great ballad and a great way to end the album. But it does have a little bit more of a pulse to it. At least it's got there's something more happening. But I mean, Steve Porcaro writes, I love some of his songs that are just so simple and not simple, but bare instrumentation, like Leah from Fahrenheit, and especially The Little Things from Toto 14, and the song the song called Bend from Toto 14, which is the last track. It's not listed. That's him too. To me, this just isn't one of the stronger ones. But I like, around this time, Taking It Back from the first album, that's Steve, and that's good. And then It's a Feeling from Toto 4. This Secret Love just doesn't do it for me. But yeah, 6.5 songs out of 8, pretty good percentage.
Yeah. You mentioned If It's the Last Night from Turn Back, and I think that song has a feel like, oh, all right, good night, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
This song just is way too mellow, as you say, and it just ends. And it's kind of feels like, isn't there another song coming after?
Feels like there should be another song. It feels like this should be a 9-song album, because the first album had 10 tracks on it. The first one's an instrumental, but it had 10 tracks on it. So yeah, it feels like this should have gone into something that picked up a little bit, even if it closed with an instrumental, as long as the instrumental had a little bit of life to it. So
yeah. All right, what would you give this album? A rating from 1 to 10?
I would definitely give it a solid 8, maybe an 8.5. I think that the good songs on here are really good. I think that the first 2 tracks alone make this essential listening. So I do like this album a lot. I just think it kind of fizzles out at the end. Doesn't finish strong.
Yeah, I think the debut is better, in my opinion. That's one of my favorites in the Toto catalog. I love that album. But I think this is still a solid album, and an album I think people should check out if they haven't heard it in a long time or never listened to it. So I would probably give it like a 7.5 or 8. I think just it's a solid album, but it has some flaws, which we've mentioned. But overall, I think it's pretty good album. So
it's just a shame that it didn't have that can't miss hit single that would have kept them. I'm really it's really interesting and unfortunate that their album sales are they don't match the talent of this band, and they don't match the popularity of those handful of songs. They didn't have a lot of really big selling albums, but if they'd have had 2 big albums in a row, it might have set them up for greater success as people refer to them as an album band. I think a lot of people think of them as just they had 2 or 3 really good singles, and there's so much more to this band than that.
Yeah. And that's very unfortunate that some people think Toto is Africa and Rosanna, and that's it. That's kind of sad. They have so many good album tracks. Even on that album, Toto 4, there's some really, really good, you can even call them album tracks, because that sold a bunch of copies and it's very popular. But even some songs there, really good. You mentioned It's a Feeling, just
great. Really good for You is a great song. Lovers in the Night. That was. I know they worked really hard to make every song on that album, have singles potential. After 99 didn't do quite as well as the first album, but Turn Back flopped altogether. It didn't even certify anywhere in the world. So they really had to work hard for that album. It's just, if they'd have followed. Can you imagine a world, a timeline where it wasn't Toto 4, it was Toto 2, That those 2 albums in a row, they'd have been even bigger than they would still be as big as they were then, probably, because I know they're still doing well on the road, but the lineup might have stayed more intact. I don't know, who's to say, but
I think just Toto being like that, they have like kept their popularity, and I think that is just very that shows like some of their hit singles just don't age really. Like
yeah,
Africa and Rosanna, and those songs will be relevant in 50 years. I truly believe
I think
that.
so. Yeah, I think so too. It's just that there's so much more that I wish people would check out by them. And Hydra, like I said, if you see it out there in the wild, pick it up and give it a listen. It's good. It's really good.
And that's one of many reasons why we do these shows.
Yep.
Because spotlight some of the albums that don't get as much attention that they should, I feel. So yeah, I think it's just really cool to spotlight this album, because really is overshadowed by what came before. Then what came immediately after was it was even less successful.
Yeah.
So unfortunate. But then, of course, they were off and running with Toto 4. So yeah.